Jacob was outside playing and he found something laying on the ground. He picked it up and he came running to Grandpa, and he was running. Grandpa was working in his wood shop, and he kind of turned around and said, "Jacob, what is all the fuss?" Jacob is holding up a handful of money. And Jacob says, "I found money on the ground, Grandpa." And Grandpa goes, "How much do you have in your hands?" "There are 5 $20 bills. Grandpa goes, "What? That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Where did you find that?" And then Jacob says, "Well, I found it on the road over there, and the guys in my team, they always say finders keepers, so it's mine." And Grandpa looked at Jacob and said, "No, it is not yours. You can't go and keep $100. It's not yours. You found it. It belongs to somebody." And Jacob was really disappointed because he already had spent that money. In his head, he wanted a new racing bike, and he had already saved up money from his paper route, and he'd already put together some other money that he had saved. This $100 was going to help him a lot to get his bike. So he says to Grandpa, "No, like I really need this money. It's gonna help me get that bike. I don't know how much longer it's gonna be at the store." Grandpa says, "Okay, think back. Did you see anybody walking on that trail in the last little while?" And Jacob kind of thought. He said, "Well, Mr. Stanton was walking his dog, and I saw him kind of stop for a minute and then keep going." And Grandpa says, "You know what, Jacob, you need to go down to Mr. Stanton's house just down the street, and you need to ask him and see if he lost $100. That's a lot of money." So Jacob reluctantly went down, because remember, he'd already spent that money in his head. He wanted it badly. So he went to Mr. Stanton's house, and he thought, "What if I return the money? Mr. Stanton is so excited, he gives me a reward for the money, for returning his long-lost money." So he was excited. So now he's gonna do the right thing and get a reward, because if it is Mr. Stanton's, he'll give him a reward, so he'll still get a cut. So he knocks on the door. Mr. Stanton, kind of a gruff guy, opens the door. "What do you want?" Jacob looks at him and goes, "Did you lose some money?" Mr. Stanton said, "Yes, I did." So Jacob kind of holds out the money. Mr. Stanton grabs the money and says, "Thank you," slams the door. Jacob is left there on the porch. He's looking at the closed door in front of his eyes saying, "Where's my reward? I don't even get a piece of that." He's very disappointed because he wanted all of it, and then he convinced himself he was going to get a reward. He got nothing. So he walked back to the house. He walked past Grandpa. He didn't want to talk to him. He went straight up to his room. Well, Mom called for supper. Jacob didn't want to come down. He wanted to stay in his room and feel sorry for himself because he really wanted that bike. Mom had plans that night, and so Grandpa came over to babysit Jacob. And so Grandpa went up and was talking to Jacob and said, "Well, what's the matter? Why, Mom's going out tonight. Why, I'm gonna watch you. Why are you so sad? Why don't you even want to eat your favorite lasagna?" And Jacob said, "You know, he didn't even say thank you. He didn't give me a reward. I'm really disappointed. You know, I really thought I had another $100 to add to my stash." So Grandpa kind of left and said, "You know, I'm glad you did the right thing, though. You did the right thing to return the money." So Jacob stayed up in his room, and later on that evening, he got a phone call. Grandpa got a phone call, and so he came up to Jacob in his room and said, "Jacob, you got a phone call. It's Mr. Stanton, and he wants you to come over. He has to talk to you." So Jacob thought, "Well, what does Mr. Stanton have to talk to me about? This is very odd." So Jacob went down the street and talked to Mr. Stanton because Mr. Stanton had phoned. And Jacob came back and said, "Grandpa, Mr. Stanton is traveling and he needs somebody to look out for his house and let out his dog. And he called me over to say that he trusted me and wants to know if I want to earn $25 a week by doing some odd jobs, mowing his grass and letting out his dog." And Grandpa said, "Wow, well, congratulations on a little summer job, Jacob." And Jacob was excited because he had the promise of getting some more money towards his bike. And Grandpa said, well, with your money that you're going to earn, I could maybe help you out with that bike, and then you can keep paying me back with the money that you earn. And so Jacob was really excited because he was really frustrated that God wasn't giving him what he needed. But God did give him what he needed. He just had to wait for it, and it wasn't the way that he expected.